New Politico poll found that 73% of Californians think mass deportations are hurting the economy.
Yeah, the business owners we spoke with here today say they've already been impacted.
What happens when nearly 800,000 people without legal status are forced to leave California and return to Mexico, leaving behind empty restaurants, shuttered businesses, and silent streets? Across the state, communities that once depended on undocumented labor are suddenly collapsing, while supporters of enforcement argue this is proof that the system had been running on an unfair advantage all along.
Chef Carla Flores has not only seen the impact of deportations on immigrant communities, but also on her bottom line.
We have lost over 75% of our business due to mass deportations.
We lost like about 80% of our clientele that used to dine in.
You're looking for your husband?
Ya, él trabaja aquí también.
She eventually found her husband, who also works at the car wash. She also says this is the first time an immigration sweep has happened here.
There were rallies and protests at the Home Depot near downtown LA. They are calling for a nationwide boycott of Home Depot, and they are also asking customers to share their concerns with store managers.
And when we look at the damage that unmitigated immigration has caused to this country, look at the Jacqueline Nungareys and the Kate Steinleys and all those that have been hurt by illegal aliens, I think they need to redirect their attention and maybe think a little harder before they say things like that.
The impact of ICE raids, the shutdown of sanctuary city businesses, the economic shift, and what this means for law and order in America. In California, a new reality is unfolding as mass deportations reshape the social and economic landscape. A recent political poll revealed that 73% of Californians believe deportations are hurting the economy, with nearly half of Republicans in the state agreeing. But beneath the surface, this story is more complex than it appears. While business owners lament their losses, others argue that the closures highlight how deeply California's economy had relied on people who were never authorized to be there in the first place. The impact can be seen most clearly in places like Los Angeles, where restaurants and small shops once thrived on the patronage of undocumented workers and their families. Chef Carla Flores, a local restaurant owner, described losing over 75% of her business after mass deportations began. Another restaurant manager echoed the same struggles, saying about 80% of their clientele, mostly undocumented, disappeared almost overnight. These stories are repeated across neighborhoods, where eateries, shops, and car washes that once catered to immigrant communities now sit nearly empty. Activists point to these cases as evidence of the economic harm caused by ICE operations, but supporters counter that such businesses were never sustainable to begin with. They argue that if a business can only survive by depending on customers and workers who are in the country illegally, then it was built on a foundation of lawlessness. Proponents of deportation stress that businesses benefiting from cheap, off-the-books labor undercut those that followed the rules, creating unfair competition. When undocumented workers accept wages below legal minimums, they save employers thousands, allowing them to outbid lawful competitors for storefronts and property leases. This distortion, critics say, inflated rents, priced out law-abiding businesses, and placed heavy burdens on working-class Americans. The situation has not only affected restaurants but also industries like construction and day labor markets. Home Depot locations in Los Angeles, particularly in Westlake, have become focal points for protests and raids. Advocacy groups have staged boycotts, claiming ICE violated civil rights protections during enforcement action. Yet ICE maintains that its raids target known fugitives, gang members, and individuals with criminal records. In fact, every operation has resulted in arrests, often of people with serious prior conviction. These raids have disrupted the illegal day labor economy, where undocumented workers gathered for short-term jobs, often at lower wages than legal workers. Supporters of enforcement argue that clearing out these markets opens opportunities for legal residents and creates fairer conditions. While some Californians mourn the loss of immigrant-supported businesses, others see long-term benefits. Without the artificial pressure from millions of undocumented workers, rents are beginning to fall, more jobs are available for legal residents, and wages are stabilizing. Polls show a majority of Californians still want the border secured and illegal immigration stopped, even if they feel sympathy toward undocumented workers. Critics of sanctuary policies highlight that mass deportations do not harm legitimate businesses that hire legally and pay lawful wages, they primarily affect industries built on exploiting unauthorized labor. Examples from recent enforcement support this view. A meatpacking plant raided earlier in the summer lost half its workforce overnight. The owner worried about staying open, but within a day, dozens of legal applicants arrived seeking jobs. This undermines the argument that Americans won't do these jobs. Many legal workers are available and willing, but they have been crowded out by an underground labor market. Meanwhile, protests against ICE continue. Demonstrators at Home Depot chanted against Trump's thuggery and demanded a boycott, but federal agents insist their operations are purposeful, targeting individuals they know to be involved in criminal activity. Each raid has uncovered undocumented individuals with ties to cartels, gangs, or prior deportation orders. Supporters argue that law enforcement cannot allow sanctuary industries to thrive while breaking employment laws. Granting exemptions to restaurants, construction sites, or street vendors would effectively turn them into havens for illegal activity. The consequences of years of lax enforcement are also becoming clear. Sanctuary cities invited businesses and landlords to operate as if the law did not apply, raising rents and funneling resources toward those willing to exploit the system. Now that ICE has stepped up enforcement, those inflated markets are collapsing. Landlords who once charged double or triple for storefronts and apartments rented to undocumented tenants are being forced to reconsider. As businesses close or downsize, property owners will have to lower rents, opening the door for lawful enterprises to thrive. This rebalancing has implications far beyond California. With millions leaving the U.S. workforce, housing availability has increased, jobs are more accessible, and average consumers are seeing relief in costs. Instead of concentrating wealth in the hands of a few landlords and employers willing to skirt the law, economic benefits are being redistributed to lawful businesses and residents. Advocates for stronger enforcement argue that this shift will lead to a healthier, fairer economy. Not everyone agrees, of course. Some California business owners argue that mass deportations are devastating the fourth largest economy in the world and could ripple across the nation. But enforcement supporters dismiss these warnings, noting that only sectors dependent on illegal labor are suffering. Lawful businesses are positioned to benefit in the long run, while unfair competitors disappear. In the midst of this transformation, individuals caught in ICE raids face difficult choices. Some undocumented workers decide to stay underground, living as fugitives in constant fear of deportation. Others accept voluntary departure, aided by programs that offer financial assistance to return home with the possibility of reapplying legally in the future. Proponents of these programs stress that they give people a chance to pursue lawful status while reinforcing the principle that entry into the U.S. must follow legal pathways. Ultimately, the debate over mass deportations highlights two competing visions. One where immigration laws are enforced consistently, ensuring fairness and public safety, and another where sanctuary policies allow businesses and communities to rely on unauthorized workers. As California grapples with empty restaurants, shuttered storefronts, and protests in the streets, the larger question remains, what kind of economy should America build? One grounded in the rule of law, or one that tolerates lawlessness in the name of short-term gain? The story unfolding in California shows the real consequences of unchecked illegal immigration and the importance of ICE in restoring balance, fairness, and safety to American communities. While some businesses built on unauthorized labor may disappear, lawful enterprises and workers now have the chance to thrive. Do you believe enforcing immigration laws strengthens our economy and protects our community? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates on ICE operations and immigration policy. Together, let's support law enforcement and a secure future.